It's Forms of Faith, and I'm back with another dream.
And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith God, I will pour out of my Spirit upon all flesh. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams.
Every time I went to go and be in the water, a snake would just come by the side of the water and watch me. And it was a cobra. It was black. Wasn't massive in size. It was like a regular snake. So you could tell it was thick and long. And when I would get in the water, it would just watch me. And each time when I would get ready to head out of the water, it would get in the water and try to make its way towards my feet. And this happened over and over again in the dream. As soon as I noticed it, it would get in the water and I would try to get out and it would try to rush to my feet. And it would happen over and over. Then the dream switches. It seemed like we were in this apartment complex or whatever, and it was this little girl. She was just roaming. It was a little black girl. She was just roaming around, up and down from one way to another. But I remember I kept seeing her, and I guess her parents had gave her away. But she already looked a little weird. But it's in this apartment, it's as if I could have been there with some other people. I want to say my sister and a few other people. I don't really remember, but they ended up opening the door for the little girl, wondering about where her parents was, however, whatever. But it was something about this little girl from the time she came to the door that I knew that something was wrong with her. And it may sound odd, but all children ain't children. And she was very, it's I could pick up on the internalness of her, and it was just it was giving me an uncomfortable feeling. This little girl, she really was. And the things started happening again with the snake, but this time I was in a shower, and it's it came through the wall, and by the end of it, it was coming through the wall backwards, as if it was using the tail of it to bust open the wall and come out of the wall while I was in the shower. And it was thick, really, really chunky looking, as if it could have just ate. And it was making its way out the wall, but the headpiece was stuck. And I remember saying, this time I'm going to get it. And I went, I got out of the shower. I was scared to death. I was really frightened because it's I came from either rinsing off my face or coming back from my hair, and I turned around and I seen it. And I was oh my goodness, it was going to get me. And it's as soon as I grabbed it, it's by the neck of it, because it was still stuck by the head trying to come out, because it looked like it just had ate. And it just had its mouth wide open as if it was just ready to bite. It was just and I had it on a thing, whatever I had in my hand. I don't know what I had in my hand, and I went and got it. And when I went out and I came out in the living room, And I don't remember who I presented it to, but it was a few people. I do think that one of them was my sister, but could have been, maybe not. I don't really remember the key people, but it was at least 3 to 4 people along amongst the little girl. And as soon as this snake dropped, it's as if it immediately identified and magnetically drew to her till it just started like wiggling its way till it dropped out of the clamp that I had it in, and it made its way to the little girl. Now everybody else began to panic because it made its way up to her into her mouth, and it went in her mouth backwards, where the mouth in her mouth was sticking out of her mouth. It was in her mouth, but when she opened her mouth, you wouldn't see a human mouth. You would just see a snake mouth. But it's as if everybody thought that she was like, they were like, oh, the little girl, like it's. But I seen that as if she came there for it, as if she could have, maybe it could have just shape shifted into the form of a little girl, however, so forth. And I remember when I was getting out of the water, just when I was having the reoccurrences of the snake kept getting in the water when I was in the water. I remember I would get out of the water and I would have these huge webs on me, really, really huge webs, like all on my arm, on my stomach, on my legs. They were like lashes. And I was just like, okay, well, I know it didn't bite me, so why am I having this on my skin? When I was getting out the water and I was noticing it, and I noticed all of them once the snake had even got her, and immediately afterwards, she was trying with all her might to bite me. She was trying with all her might to bite me. I ended up telling them, you need to put her out of the house. Put her out of the house because she's not normal. And they begin to see like it wasn't choking her, that she was okay with it because they see how she was like like turning into like a little snake kid. And they ended up kicking her out the house. And I know it wasn't me at the door because I didn't even care, because she came back and it's like the door wouldn't close all the way, but it's like it was closed, but then it wasn't closed. And she was like, wait, let me in. Let me in. I'm just a kid. Just this, that, and the other. And she was just like kicking on the door, beating on the door, whatever. And she began to cry. And when she started crying, someone opened the door and she was still sitting way. And I was like, see, I told y'all. And it's like they pushed her back from the door and she bit them. And I know it wasn't me, but when she bit them, it's like she bit my hand.
After she bit the hand, she ran off with the most evilest grin and laugh as if her mission was accomplished.
And immediately I had this huge, it's like my hand turned into like this big plastic clear bubble with this white dot in the middle. And I immediately was like, I needed the monoclonal antibodies. That's exactly what my mind said. And instantly I was at the hospital. And I remember being at like the unit where the nurses be at. And I was like, I need monoclonal antibodies. I've been bit. I was bit by a cobra snake. And they were looking at me like, how did she even know what to ask for? And like, I remember them, and I remember taking my hand and I was just squeezing it, and it was so much of liquid just beginning to just spew out of my hand, 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 spew out of my hand. But for some reason, this little white dot that was in my hand, it wouldn't go anywhere. It was as if it was floating in the bubble up formation that was on top of my skin, but it was in one specific place. And the nurses, it's as if they tried to take me somewhere, and I know I was like, no, but I need monoclonal antibodies. I need monoclonal antibodies. I need it, or else like I'm gonna die. And I would say like I didn't feel like my body turning. I just knew like my hand was swollen. It was bubbled up, but I knew that something was released into my body. I knew that it was released into my body. It didn't like break me down, how they say like venom of a snake. It like numbs you and this is that and other. No, it didn't do that in the dream. Not saying that it doesn't do it in real life, but in the dream it didn't. But I felt as if where that white dot was of that swollen big like mountain on top of my hand, it was as if that's the type of stuff that was in my body, like all of these little white dots. I just knew it. I just knew that it was like going through like my veins simultaneously everywhere within seconds of seconds. Like it was spreading everywhere. And they tried to take me somewhere because it was people that was out there, and it was like, what is she like ranting and raving about? And they tried to hurry up and get me out because they knew exactly what I was talking about, and that I was referencing to a snake bite and venom.
Remember I mentioned each time I got out of the water, I would see lashes, and I woke up to this on my arm.